He's saying, my dear Martha, you're all upset over all these details. Details that I didn't even tell you had to worry about. That I didn't say, you know what, Martha, make sure everything's just right. But yet here you are. Instead, you could be where Mary is. Concerned about the priority, concerned about the main thing. It isn't that Martha is making a bad choice or that she was a bad person. It isn't that the things that we sometimes get distracted by or the things that we allow to take us away from the feet of Jesus are necessarily bad things. They may not be bad things in and of themselves. They may not be sinful things. But when you allow them to distract you and detach you from getting around His feet, they become sinful things. So Martha's not a bad person. She's not choosing bad things. Martha just got her priorities out of line. Some of us need to do a priority check. It's not that we're necessarily doing wrong things or consumed with bad things, but we're neglecting the main thing, which is getting around His feet. I like one person said this. Said, don't let the urgent take the place of the important in your life. Oh, the urgent will really fight, claw, and scream for attention. It will plead for our time and even make us think we've done the right thing by calming its nerves. But the tragedy of it all is this. While you and I were putting out the fires of the urgent, an everyday affair, the important was again left in a holding pattern. And interestingly, the important is neither noisy nor demanding. Unlike the urgent, it patiently and quietly waits for us to realize its significance. What I think this text here, Jesus is telling Martha and you and me as well, it's very possible for us to major on what we think the urgent thing is. For Martha, the urgent thing was, I got to get in here and get this meal fixed. I got to go in here and make sure that everything's in line because Jesus is in the house. But it wasn't what the most important thing was. It's possible for you and I to waste our lives dealing with the urgent that we neglect the important. And that implies to your relationship with your spouse. It applies to your relationship with your children. What we think is urgent. Think about it. Think about your house. How many times do you think something is urgent? You know, men, whatever it is for you, it's urgent. I got to get this done. This is needed and this is necessary. That you'll do it because you think it's needed to the point that you neglect what is important, which is, first and most of all, spending time at Jesus' feet. Second of all, spending time with your wife and your children. Ladies, that you have a house and a husband and a home, how many times do you think, this has got to be done? I got to make sure these clothes are washed. I got to make sure these dishes are put up. I got to make sure all this stuff is done, that you keep yourself busy with what you think is urgent while your husband, who is important, is being neglected. Or your children, who are begging for your time and attention. Unfortunately, let me give you these two quotes and I'm done to kind of put a bow on it. I thought this really sums it up well. Unfortunately, they said, it seems when circumstances compel us to choose, we choose the urgent to the exclusion of Jesus. We come to services only when there's nothing else. We pray only in circumstances of need. We read only when there's not anything on TV or we don't have any, or our thumbs are tired of scrolling on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. We choose God only if there's no other pressing need. And we think that we have proper excuses. Well, I had to work. I've heard that one. I had to do such and such. I had people I had to deal with. There is only one thing, not even your job, one thing that is necessary. They say this must be a life-changing teaching. True disciples of Jesus are moved by the one necessary thing: sitting at the feet of Jesus. Sitting at the feet of Jesus is the only pressing need. Not your job, not your gym time, not your vacation time, not your free time. It is sitting at the feet of Jesus. The disciples of Jesus do not let the urgent things of life squeeze out the one important thing. Just because it is not a sinful act does not mean it is not a sinful choice. We cannot, some of y'all need to get a hold of this. We cannot do everything. Why? Because there's not enough time. I mean, we've all said this thing. Every single one of us have said these words or thought this. I wish I had more what? I'm sorry to disappoint you. They're not making any more of it. You can't go buy any more time. You have what you have. And like Mary, we need to choose very deliberately, very thoughtfully. We need to choose to do with our time not what is urgent, but what is most important. Life's affairs will not automatically sort themselves into a true order of priorities. It'd be nice, but it don't just work that way. If we do not consciously insist on making sitting at the Lord's feet and listening to His Word our number one necessity, I guarantee you, because I'm guilty, 1,001 things will pop up all claiming, hey, I need your attention. I need your focus. I need your time. You got to make sure sitting at His feet is number one. Jesus said what Mary had chosen, it was the good part. It was the needful part. And it would never be taken away from her. I'm done. What does He mean it will never be taken away from her? When it's all said and done, the stuff that we devote so much time to, whether it be our little hobbies we have, whether it be our appearances that we focus on, whether it be going here, going there, doing this, doing that, our jobs, all of these things, if it's housework, yard work, doing this renovation or that renovation, all of this stuff that we're like, man, I'm sure you got a list just like we've got. Man, that just needs to be done. This just needs to be done. Well, Sunday's the only time I got to do it. No. Sunday is when you need to be here. Because guess what? At the end of the day, if you really believe that God is real, at the end of the day, if you really believe that this book is real, and that one day we are all going somewhere, and the choices are heaven or hell, and that's how this thing ends, then what you do as far as eternal weight, value, that's all that matters. And I'm preaching to myself because I'm guilty in some areas where I feel like, man, I really need to do this. I really need to go here. I have goals. I have things, bucket lists, whatever. But at the end of the day, they cannot take away from the main thing, which is being around His feet. Because at the end of the day, whether the dishes get done, whether the house gets fixed, whether I lose any more weight, whether I ever make it to another destination that I want to make, it won't mean anything when it comes to eternity. So why not focus on the one thing that does? And get and stay around His feet. It won't be taken away from you. All this other stuff that we consume our lives with and we worry about, it will. It will all fade away. But the one needful thing, the good part, says it'll never be taken from you. Get around His feet. The table of importance. You're standing to your feet.